Hi, I'm Todd Albee with SilverFire. So this is the box that it comes in. All you need is a knife to simply cut the package open. The stove comes fully assembled, and the only thing that you need to attach is the handles. We will take the stove out and set the box aside. We will take it out of the protective bag and set that aside. Inside the combustion chamber, below the cast iron top here, we will pull out the manual and 6 screws that we will attach the handles with. Then we will open the door on the front of the stove and remove the handles, the stove handles that are attached in the wrapped paper, and the fuel shelf that we will slide our fuel on when we use the stove. In the bubble wrap, remove the stainless steel fuel shelf. We will show you how to use this in a few moments. The next thing that we're going to unwrap is the stove handles. There are 2 stove handles that attach to either side of the stove. Since we are attaching a flat gusset to a cylinder wall, I'm going to tweak it slightly to put on the cylinder stove body. So simply take the stove handle and use your fingers. Do not use your screwdriver until after you have aligned the handles with your fingers. So simply take the screw and just give it one twist and attach. The 2 top holes will align the bottom holes for you. Now we can use the screwdriver. This way we do not strip the fine thread screws. In the event that you do strip the screw, putting it in the handle, then you must remove the top to make the repair. So what you will do is unscrew the 4 screws on the cast iron top and take the stove top off. Underneath the insulation on the stove, you will pull the stove insulation back and grab the PEM nut with a pair of pliers. Then you can take your screw, insert it back in the screw hole, apply force, and re-screw in the screw, holding the PEM nut to lock the handle to the stove body. The stove now is ready for use. We will next take the fuel shelf and drop it in the slot in the front of the combustion chamber to slide our biomass fuel on into the firebox. Now that we have the handles assembled and the fuel shelf ready to operate the stove, let's quickly talk about a little biomass. Any flammable organic material will work in the stove. It could be palm fronds, it could be sawdust. We have some leaves here. We have some dung, pine cone. We have some leftover construction debris, branches off bushes and trees. So we have a real variety of different types of fuel to successfully cook, sanitize our water, or to clean our cookware with. What we want to do is put some tinder in the stove. There's 2 ways to light the stove. You can light the stove through the door, or you can light the stove through the top. There's 2 different ways to light the stove. It doesn't matter. So the first thing I'm going to do is we'll light this stove right here through the door. So I'm going to take some fuel and throw some little tinder in the stove. We can take paper. There's a grain in paper, so it's best to tear the paper in thin strips, light and fluffy. Tear all paper with the grain. Light and fluffy. Do not ball up the paper, and just simply stick it through the top. And if you're having problems lighting the stove, just add more little tinder. After we get the tinder lit, then we will add our fuel sticks to cook with. Now we'll go ahead and simply light the stove with the match. Then we'll lay our fuel sticks in the stove. And we'll continue to, as we cook, meter them in the stove. Now remember, the door is very hot. On the front of the door we have a fuel gauge. So this diameter is ideal. You do not need to put big wood in the stove or big fuel. Little fuel is all you need. In summary, you can see that the stoves are very efficient with very minimal fuel. You never touch the door, that will burn you. You never touch the cast iron top, that will burn you. You always must use the handles when moving or carrying the stoves. When you're all done, just let the stove die out and add no more fuel. This stove is very easy to cook on and they're very clean burning. Thank you.